I want to first thank you, men and women, who showed up yesterday for the South Central LA Tea Party rally in Glendale, California, in support of the Constitution and freedom, and in support of the gun show in Glendale last night. As you all know, the City Council of Glendale is trying to ban them from having it on having gun shows on city property, and they've been doing it for years. So we showed up yesterday to support them and support freedom. And I have to honestly tell you, I had a hoot nanny of a time.
Yeah. Shameless. Loose cannon. Biden. Loose cannon. Shameless. 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 Hey, you want the megaphone? Shameless. Shameless. Yeah, put a plan, Joe. Glendale City Council. Glendale City Council. Shame. Glendale City Council. Oh. Glendale City Council. Cowards. Take away the gun show from this ground right here. Back off. Feinstein. 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 Back off. Back off.
Back off! Back off! Back off! Back off! Back off!
Loose cannon.
It was something. Was it fun? It was literally something else. The spirit of it was just energized. Everybody was upbeat, happy to be there, no one afraid. It was something else. Isn't that something? Yes. So thank you for showing up and making that possible. To my surprise, the media showed up in droves, but I was surprised. Because normally they don't show up for conservative causes. And not only did they show up, ABC, CBS, Channel 4, a Hispanic station, LA Times, not only did they show up, they recorded us and presented us. Because a lot of times they go back into the studio, they erase what we say, they don't show it. Or they'll show just a little bit, that's it. But from what I've seen already, it seems as though they treat us pretty well as for presenting our rally.
Gun show supporters calling it an attack on Second Amendment rights.
If we look at history, when the government disarms the citizen, the government takes over because you have no way of defending yourself.
Among the attendees, Joe Zimmerman, who bought a standard handgun 2 weeks ago.
Everyone's scared that we might lose that option to be able to purchase what we want.
NBC4 allowed with our camera inside the show, which has been held here for 20 years. This could be the last time.
There is hope that that won't pass, that the ordinance won't be written and the ordinance won't pass. But if it does and we have to find a new venue, we will start looking for a new venue.
It's going to always be better, but what we get from the liberal media, you know, I'm thankful for that because the word is out that we were there and showed support. So I do appreciate that. And thank you for showing up. It was so hard I turned black. It was like 80 degrees. It was hot, huh? I can't find a hat to fit my head. It's so big. And that's the truth. My head is so big, if I put a hat on, the little beep thing what do you call that? It look like, it just look like that, right? It doesn't even cover my whole face. And then the hat won't go all the way down on my head, so I don't wear them. Isn't that awful? Why I had to have that daddy with a big head? They say, some people say we choose our parents. While we're in heaven, we choose a parent. There's no way I would have chosen a daddy with a big head. That would not have been my choice. So I dispute the idea that we choose our parents. Anybody believe we do? Yeah, I don't think we do. I would have chosen rich parents with small heads. But it was really, really good And it was, for me, it was an honor to be fighting for freedom, to preserve freedom. And I don't understand, he has a question there. I don't understand the mindset of people who think that they shouldn't fight for their freedom. And there are people who don't agree with us about fighting for freedom. They just sit back and let things happen and let the enemy take over and destroy the freedom, and they won't get out there and do anything. I don't understand that mindset. And then when we fight for the freedom and the freedoms are protected, they are enjoying the freedom. But they don't want to give anything for it. I don't understand that mindset. Even in my weak time, I've always been a fighter for what was right, the best that I can do it. And when I'm out there protesting yesterday, I'm thinking, wow, what a blessing that we can do this. And I thought of those people who don't like protesting. They don't get out there and do anything. They won't make a phone call. They won't take your email when you send it out and send it out to their people. They won't do anything. That's mind-blowing to me. And the other thing, the topic is not about this, I don't think, but the other thing I don't understand about some people, what happens to a person's mind when they believe that you shouldn't have the right to protect yourself with a gun? What happens to the mind that can convince you of that you should not protect yourself with a gun? I don't understand that mindset either. And it's just me, what I'm saying? I just don't understand it. And I could be wrong, doesn't mean I'm right. But when I was growing up, everybody had guns. I don't know of a household that didn't have some sort of a gun in there. And so I just grew up with guns, so maybe that's why I'm so for it, I don't know. Maybe I had grown up north in Chicago, that's where I would have a different mindset about it. But I don't understand it. Did you have a question? Yeah. Okay, let's get the mic over there.
Well, you said about the way that a lot of people don't think that they should stand up and fight for their rights or for what's right.
For freedom, yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, well, for me, I do know that I should, but yet a lot of times I don't. And it's kind of out of embarrassment or fear or self-consciousness.
Oh, embarrassed of what?
Of looking awkward and of looking like kind of like a hypocrite and being inconsistent.
So if you're standing out fighting for freedom, fighting for the Second Amendment, you feel like you look like a hypocrite?
Not necessarily just for the Second Amendment, but just in general, fighting for what's right or standing up for...
You look like a hypocrite to yourself or to others?
To myself, and I think to others too.
Oh. So the way you see yourself, you think others are seeing you that way too?
Yeah, and...
But why would they think that you're a hypocrite?
Because I'm not consistent.
But how do they know you're not consistent?
Well, when I see other people up front, they get a lot of pot shots taken at them. And I don't necessarily want to be in that situation, I guess. I don't know, it's a weird thing, and I think that I'm not the only one I have a feeling that my friends and family are the same way.
Yeah.
On both sides of the fence.
I know what you're talking about. I remember when I used to work for a union and we had to organize rallies like that. My mind would try to tell me we look silly out there. And if you believe it, there is a little embarrassment that comes with that.
Yeah.
But now that I understand that it's just the mind, I don't give into that anymore. But
this kind of leads into a question that I wanted to ask you about this week.
Okay.
I went to this thing with a couple of the Bond guys here. We went to some place in Glendale before this rally. It was about some money conference, but this guy said I think it's like a Chinese proverb that says to know and not do is not to know. It's kind of like how I know certain things or that I should stand up, but yet I don't.
Right.
So maybe I don't really know what I should be doing.
That's a good question. So your question is, what does that mean?
Yeah, is
Or-
it true, and what does it mean to
Yeah.
really know versus the,
Yeah, because if you know what to do and you don't do it, you might as well not know it. It's like
Yeah.
wasted information.
Uh-huh.
And so a lot of people know what to do, but they let the mindset get in the way to prevent them from doing it. Make you feel embarrassed or make you feel afraid or cause you to have doubt, so they don't end up doing it, so that they do nothing. I don't even know why anyone would want information that you're not going to do anything with. It is a waste of time.
But to me, it's not a waste of time because
But if you don't do anything with it, it's like having a house and you never go inside and live in it.
yeah, and that contributes to my sense of hopelessness about it. Not total hopelessness, but my doubts about myself and
Yeah.
where I stand.
I personally think you have too much judgment upon yourself. You've judged yourself as being a certain way, and that's what's holding you back. Because you get the same effect from judging yourself as you do from judging others. And so it will bring on fear and doubt and living in the imagination and obeying the lies that come with that. So you need to let go any judgment of yourself. It is what it is. And then you can be free.
Okay.
Because I'm sure some people see your weakness, but I'm sure they don't think about you as seriously as you think about yourself.
Yeah.
And that's because you have a personal judgment. There is a way to avoid criticism. And I just read this morning. I turned on my computer up there. Do nothing, say nothing, and be nothing. Then you won't get criticized. Yeah, they'll still criticize. That's what I said. I said they'll say, "Oh, that old lazy, no good person." They'll still criticize you. And then if you die, they'll say, "Oh, he or she died as nothing." So I don't think there's a way out of being criticized.
Yeah.
But don't criticize yourself. And then it wouldn't matter what someone else thinks. It is what it is.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
So stop judging yourself and live.
All right, thanks.
You gonna do it?
I think so.
You think so? You're not sure? Speaking of that, yesterday at the gun show, other than the blacks, for the time that I was there, other than the blacks who went there with us to protest, I didn't see any black people going into the gun show. And then I looked at the paper this morning, the LA Times, because they have pictures of it. And I believe ABC has inside pictures of it too, just mostly white men or white people and other people mixed in, but no black people. And I'm thinking if anybody need to be lining up, it should be the blacks and the Hispanics to protect themselves in their own neighborhoods. But they trust government and they don't trust that they can do it for themselves. And that's an example of the brainwashing. They don't trust themselves. Because once you rely on the government like that, you lose that desire to take care of yourself and defend yourself and think for yourself. It's an awful way to live, an awful way to live. But they're not there, and it's unfortunate. Yes, sir.
Add on to what you were saying about the gun show. I went to the range yesterday when I noticed that there are a lot of black people that go shooting, but they don't own any guns. They all rent their guns.
Oh.
And so that's interesting that they don't own it, but they do go shoot.
Well, we gotta change that. We gotta educate, inform, enlighten, because it is the blind and they can't see. That's another thing that prevents you from judging people. Once you wake up and you realize that you were the way that you were because you couldn't see, then you can never judge your fellow man because you would know that they are doing what they are doing because they cannot see. If they could see, it wouldn't be that way. That's why Christ said, forgive them, Father, they know not what they do. They literally don't know. When I was blind like that, I didn't know. I thought what I was doing, as you were saying, I thought what I was doing was right. I saw no other way to do it. And you couldn't even convince me. The only way I know now is that it was given to me to see. Yes, ma'am.
I was going to, first I thought about the guns. You said the blacks and Hispanics
Yes.
weren't in there. I was thinking maybe because the media, pushes that blacks are killing Hispanics and they're using the guns and, for killing each other all the time. It's always on the news and
Yeah.
stuff. So maybe they're brainwashed and thinking, I see so much on TV that blacks and Hispanics are killing each other, and so maybe the people that are decent are thinking, no, maybe I shouldn't have a gun.
That could be a part of it.
They have
Yeah.
kids, and maybe they're thinking just owning a gun or having a gun in their home. These are the decent blacks and Hispanics.
Yeah.
Just thinking, I don't want my kid to be thinking this gun is, about the gang banging and all that stuff when it's not even about that.
That's right.
They may be seeing too much of it on the news, and they go, you know what, I'm not even going to get gun.
That's a good aspect. That could be a good possibility, because that can convince you, well, I got to protect my family by not having a gun. Or, I don't want anyone to come and steal my gun. All kind of stuff that when it is played in the news like that, it could convince you of it.
And the main thing, the gangbangers and stuff, they do look for guns.
Yeah, they do.
I've been told that's the number one thing when they rob a home. They're looking for a gun.
I know people who have had guns stolen from them by gangbangers. They go in there, they look for your guns. But still, that doesn't take away our right to protect ourselves from them. It's just something we have to deal with. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Did you have your hand? One.
There was a lot of Hispanics there.
Yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good.
Yes.
They were going into the show?
Yes.
Yeah.
I saw a handful of blacks, but
A handful.
yeah, out of thousands.
So about 5.
Yes.
You saw about 1,000 blacks?
No, I said out of 1,000.
Oh, out of the thousands of people. Yeah. It was, everybody and their mama showed up otherwise to buy guns or buy ammunition or whatever they were there for. It was a long line of people there. Glendale, California had a meeting on the decision whether to ban gun shows in Glendale or not, California. And so we went to the hearing so that we can support the gun show. And it was run by the mayor. Is that right? Run or ran? Run, right? Yes! I used to say ran so much in the wrong place. I've been traumatized, so now when I hear it, when I got to use it, I pause for a moment, so I can say it right. But the mayor of Glendale was running this meeting, and there was one guy who got up in support of the gun show, and the mayor of that city berated that man like nobody I've ever seen. Told him to shut up, you sit down and shut up and sit down. And I mean, and the poor guy, he just walked away with his head down. I'm just saying that I can't wait for my turn to come. And I'm sitting there waiting, and Satan telling me, oh, you're going to embarrass yourself. Don't do this. You're going to look like a fool. What do everybody say? The policeman may take you out. And how that going to look? So I'm listening to all these thoughts, right? Observing them and not listening. So they called my name, and I went up, and they gave us a minute and about, how many seconds? Minute and a half.
One warning for everyone in the council chambers. If I identify you a second time, and I'm going to have the sergeant of arms, I'll point you out, and you're going to be escorted. We have a long night tonight, and we're not going to lose time with applauses, cheer.
My name is Reverend Jesse Lee Peterson, and I am the founder of South Central Los Angeles Tea Party Movement, Tea Party organization. I also host a national quality radio talk show, and I am here to support the gun show. I have to say, when I read the purpose of this ban, so-called ban on gun shows, I thought the person or people who came up with this idea are either wicked at heart or have been smoking pot from the local pot store down the road there, because it didn't make any sense at all. South Central Los Angeles, Chicago, and other areas are under siege because the citizens of those areas are not allowed to carry weapons. Just today, I spoke with a family who moved into Compton, California, and they were attacked by gang members who were heavily armed, and they were not allowed to have guns or to protect themselves from their families. And I have to say that white Americans are hated right now, and to unarm yourself, and you have seen the attacks around the country these last 4 years, to unarm yourself is one of the worst things that you could do. Black thugs have been ordered not to riot and destroy their own communities, but go into their enemies' communities, which are white Americans across the country. We have members of the Tea Party movement from all of Southern California, including blacks, Hispanics, Armenians, and whites.
Patrick,
And to ban the gun show is an absolute
quiet.
country.
Sit down, sir.
We have a right to bear arms.
Sit down.
We as citizens deserve
Officer, get him away from
You
the
don't
podium.
have a right to yell at me. We
Yeah,
pay
you do. I gave you 90 seconds. Get him away from the
Control yourself,
podium.
sir.
Get him away from the podium.
You disrespect me. We pay you.
Everybody has gotten
You do not
90
pay us.
seconds.
Still, you don't yell.
Everybody's gotten 90 seconds.
Don't
You're
yell
no
at
different.
people. Who do you think you are? I have a right to be here just as you do.
That's it. You're done.
He's the mayor of the city.
I'm running a
It doesn't
meeting.
matter. You still
Everyone
have a right.
gets 90 seconds. No one's any better than anyone else.
So stop yelling.
Would know that.
I am also a member of the South Central LA Tea Party, and I have to tell you, I'm ashamed of the city of Glendale today. You're standing up here, a lot of you, and I don't know who's voting for what.
And that goes by just like that under that kind of pressure. You can never really say what you want to say. And so my time just ran out. The first thing I said to them, I said, I looked at this plan, and I thought to myself, the person who came up with this idea to ban the gun shows are either wicked at heart or been smoking some of that pot at the local pot store down the street there, smoking that dope. And they started laughing a little bit at that because that was really funny. But the people who came up with the idea were not laughing. They were like yelling at me in the background. I could hear them, right? And so my time ran out. I said a little bit more. And the mayor was like, sit down, sir. You can't say anymore. Your time is up. And I said, no, I can say more. No, your time is up. Sit down. I said, look, don't you yell at me. Who do you think you are? You work for me. You work for the taxpayer. We don't work for you. Who do you think you are yelling at people like that? And I said, you need to get yourself together. You need to calm down. And it was like, and he's like telling the cops, take him out. Get him, right? In the meantime, I'm pointing my finger and tell him how the cow ate the cabbage. And then the cops came by and took me by both arms, one on this side, one on this side. And I had already made up my mind if they tried to carry me out, I was going to sit on the floor. And they would literally have to carry me out. And so the one cop, they came and they would carry me out, and while they were trying to carry me out, I was yelling at the mayor again, telling him, you guys work for us. We don't work for you. You're up there on your high horses. You have forgotten who the bosses are, right? And so I went and sat down in my seat. When we got to my seat, I went and sat down. And one cop was doing this, telling me to come on. He was trying to take me out anyway. And I said, no, I'm not coming. He was like, come on. I'm like, no, come on, no. And then another cop came over and told this cop to leave me alone, that I'm all right. He sat down, he's not yelling or anything, leave him alone. So they left me alone. And after the meeting, the cop told me, well, I wasn't going to throw you out. I was just going to, no, he said the other cop wasn't going to throw me out. He was just going to talk to me about yelling, I guess. But I say all that to say is that we got to make noise. We got to not be afraid. And because of that, the word got out that meeting happened and what happened in that meeting. But if I had not said something or stood up, it would have been a quiet little meeting that came about, they passed a law, and we never knew about it. And no more gun shows. You gotta get busy. It's fun, too. Even James spoke up there. Yeah, they passed it. And they did it still in a sneaky kind of way. They did it like it was 2 to 3. They did it like in a quiet kind of way. One of the city councilmen said, I looked at this. The gun show's been here for years. We have never had any problems, no complaints from the neighborhood, no traffic complaints. We have never heard anything negative about this gun show. And he wrote up all these pages, and it ended up to maybe being just one page. He said, but there's no reason to ban it. There's no reason at all. So he voted against banning it. And there is no reason to ban it. No incidents or no nothing. It's just that the children of Satan are a little more tougher than the children of God. That's all. And I guarantee you, well, I don't know for sure, we need to write another law that says, hey, we want this back in place. And protest and get it back in place. And let them know that they work for us. We don't work for them. And they love being in power, so they'll do whatever the majority of the people are saying. They will do what we say. That makes sense? It's all spiritual. I'm telling you. It's spiritual. And I know, and I'm not telling you now to run out there and yell at the folks and sit out on the floor because you're making a fool out of yourself. Let God guide you in how to do it. All right? And if you get in jail, you don't call me. We don't have any money to get you out. So you better be guided by God. All right? But I'm just telling you, it's a spiritual battle. And don't limit your spirituality to just one thing. We got to only focus on this because it's all affect. One thing affects another. Breaking up the family affects what's happening to our young children. Weakening the men affects what's happening to our country. If the men are strong, the country will be strong. It all goes in together. It ties together. Treating the person or people right at work by thinking of the person rather than trying to get for yourself, all part of it. You know, how we deal with one another, all part of it. It's not separated. It's all the same. It's a spiritual battle. It's just there are so many battles to fight. So you want to be open so that God can guide you and not just focus on, well, I just want to be spiritual. Why would you want to be spiritual if you're just going to, and not that you're saying this, I'm not implying what you're saying, because everybody be rolling their eyes at you. You said so. Why would you have a bright, powerful light of love turned on and you just hiding under a tree? Or you just focus on this, let's just talk about the family, let's don't talk about anything but whatever, right? That's not the way it goes. God, when Christ walked the earth, he dealt with everything because it was spiritual. We just have to see how to deal with it.